Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all joyous and suffering beings everywhere. Good morning, everyone. There are, of course, announcements, not much, but this has to do with July 4th. First, we will be using passwords from now on. So look to either the e-newsletter, the website, or the Facebook page, and you will find the password for each of the talks and classes. Saturday, July 4th at 9 a.m. As we know, on the first Saturday of each month, Chandi is chanted in Sanskrit, led by Rita Matthew. This year, Guru Purnima also falls on July 4th, so she has arranged an additional program. And we're very pleased to note that Pravrajika Akhandaprana, the resident minister in Phoenix, Arizona, will be part of that program. Accessible by Zoom, these two activities will start at 9 a.m. and end around 10 a.m. For full details about the event, click on the link in our newsletter or the center's website or Facebook page. There's a full description of all the activities from 9 a.m. to a little after 10 a.m. on that morning. At 6:30 p.m. On July 4th, a special arati will be done, and also accessible by Zoom. It'll be done at the little shrine behind me. This will be followed by a brief talk on Swami Vivekananda and his work in the West by myself, then readings and reflections on the Swami and the day by members of our congregation. Please prepare something for that evening to share with us, either a tribute to Swami Vivekananda or remarks about the anniversary of our nation. No more than 5 minutes per person. Be courteous to others who are waiting to contribute. You will be timed and muted if you go much over the 5-minute limit. I'm sorry to have to say that, but some people are they lose all sense of time when they start talking like this, and so they'll just go on, and so we'll just have to stop them because otherwise there won't be enough time for everyone. And we're only planning to do an hour and a half, 6:30 to 8 p.m. So everyone needs to be considerate of one another. So there's no song or poem this morning. Again, welcome. Thanks for being here. The topic this morning is a Raja Yogi's response to transformation. We, by that I mean our entire planet, seem to be on the road to a major transformation. Yet we can't see far ahead down this road. Experts, healthcare scientists, economists, political leaders help as best they can, but they don't have meaningful precedents for this situation. So what they offer are their best science, educated guesses, and sometimes conflicting day-to-day guidance. In the face of such uncertainty, fear and despair are In the face of such uncertainty, fear and despair are a very natural human response. Fortunately, as spiritual aspirants, we have a powerful alternative. The 4 yogas, as taught to us by Swami Vivekananda, Swamiji. Last month, we looked at how a karma yogi could respond to transformation. This morning, we'll take up Raja Yoga, and in July, Jnana Yoga. We'll see what guidance each yoga offers us about how to live calmly and constructively during a great wave of change. Now, there's something very important to understand. Please understand this. What I'm about to say is not meant as personal instruction for you. It is not ultimate truth or any kind of dogma which you are expected to adopt or follow. It is a review of the principles and practices of Raja Yoga as they could apply to an ideal yogi who finds herself in the current situation. Please take from it what you find useful to you. Neera, there's some flickering going on that's distracting on your video. Could you turn off your video, please? Thank you. So from what's said now, please take from it what you may find useful to you. I mean it when I say it's not meant in any sense as personal instruction. So how might the ideal Raja Yogi deal with what we're facing? Let's start from principle. The control of nature, both external and internal, which is the purpose of Raja Yoga. June has been a month for the study of Raja Yoga, a spiritual path often called the yoga of meditation. As a Raja Yogi, you use ancient, proven spiritual techniques to quiet your mind and gain control of your attention. Regular daily practice of Raja Yoga increases your ability to concentrate and may lead to meditation. This can unite you with the divine presence, the source of your being, and liberate you from the cycle of rebirth and death. In the vocabulary of the Raja Yogi, this state of liberation is called kaivalya, which is translated as isolation or independence, isolation from all phenomena or independence from all transformations. According to Vivekananda's book, Raja Yoga, a yogi attains kaivalya by controlling nature, both external and internal. We'll start with a frame of reference for the external. Now, the reason for this frame of reference is we often wonder, what is this that we're immersed in? What is this that we're part of? Here's one way of looking at it. Aeons ago, the divine being created that which breathes. In Sanskrit, jiva, that which breathes, life as we understand it. According to Swamiji, all of nature's possibility was present, involute or involved, in that first life form. And it has been evolving ever since. Evolving means becoming more complex and specialized, taking on ever more names and forms. You are the result of each of us, and all we see around us is the result of this evolution. Physicists add to Swamiji's story by telling us that 13.7 billion years ago, 13.7 billion years ago, all that existed was an unimaginably hot, dense plasma expanding at a mega explosive rate. Called the Big Bang, this continued expanding cooling, and differentiating until all these billions of years later, that primordial plasma became the universe and life forms we know now. What this means is that whether you see it as karma or your DNA or whatever it is, samskaras, vasanas, all these names for it, you have a tremendous record of this evolution present in you. And it's very insistent on itself. It's very insistent on itself. It continues to do all it can to convince you that it is the reality. Scientists further define the fundamental nature of everything you and I experience as vibration. Your five senses take in the wide variety of vibrations in which all our action and experience suits, our bodies, your and my bodies, are immersed, and of which each suit is an inseparable part. We are vibrating, we are vibration as well. Listen up now, and I underline this because to understand what a Raja Yogi does, you must know this. Exposed to the wide spectrum of universe's vibrations, each of your inner sense organs selects the frequencies of vibration appropriate to its function and transforms those vibrations into the names and forms you're familiar with. What you feel, hear, see, smell, and taste. This is that insistent compulsion of universe that I am. As the universe makes us feel that this is the reality. These names and forms are then projected onto your awareness, your mind. Taken as a whole, this projection becomes your individual universe, the reality you know, understand, and feel more or less comfortable with. So that's how we are as we sit here this morning. We're taking the vibrations in which this suit is immersed and of which it is a part, and we're making our reality out of it. It's not a necessity. This is what Raja Yoga teaches. This brings us to the teachings of Raja Yoga. As translated by Vivekananda, the first two aphorisms of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras are: 1, now concentration is explained. 2, yoga is restraining the mind stuff, chitta, from taking various forms, vrittis. Yoga is restraining the mind stuff from taking these various forms, vrittis. Sutra 1, concentration, is the method for achieving Sutra 2. By practice of concentration, we learn to prevent the mind from making a reality, vrittis, out of the stimulation, vibration, which produces them. As Swamiji tells us, when you can still the vrittis in the chitta, your universe disappears. Not the universe that we all share, but what you have made out of it because of your unique evolution over all these eons. So you uniquely make your universe. And as Swamiji tells us, when you can still the vrittis in the chitta, your universe disappears. When you are successful in this effort, you have controlled nature, both internal and external. You have achieved the purpose of the first 6 limbs of Patanjali's Raja Yoga. You are capable of deep meditation. Samadhi and Kaivalya await you.
Oh, now I can see. And it says,
Make sure you're on mute.
Okay, so
I can just join. I forgot my password.
well, hello Uma, good morning, namaste.
Namaste.
We've just come to a pause, and before we go on, please, this description of universe, of vibration, of creating a reality out of the vibration by this action and experience suit we're in, all of this, before we go ahead, please, are there any comments or questions? It's very important that all of this be understood before we go ahead to the next part of this talk. So is there anything that you would like to ask about or make a comment about? Remember, this is how we study the art of spirituality together. It's very important that we contribute to one another. You may have the same question in your mind that somebody else has, but is too shy to voice it. So please, if you have a question or a comment, please, now is the time to make it.
Brother Shankara?
Yes, dear.
Could you repeat the last 3 or 4 sentences? I could not grasp that, the connection between the universe and the personal universe. How is that?
I missed it too. I also missed because.
Okay, please, Uma, we'll get to it. Now, these are the first 2, according to the translation of Swami Vivekananda. These are the first 2 aphorisms of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. 1, now concentration is explained. 2, yoga is restraining the mind stuff, chitta, from taking various forms, vrittis. Sutra 1, concentration, is the Sutra 1, concentration, is the method for achieving Sutra 2. By practice of concentration, we learn to prevent the mind from making a reality, in Sanskrit, vrittis, out of the stimulation, vibration, which produces those vrittis. As Swamiji tells us, when you can still the vrittis in the chitta, when you can still the vibrations, the modifications in the mind stuff, oh my goodness. Something happened with the Zoom. I'm not exactly certain what it is. I just suddenly got a message. Okay.
Is it the maximum?
Yeah, it is maximum here. If I can.
As Swamiji tells us.
Where is my phone? I can put the ear thing for you.
We're hearing you talk. Please mute yourselves. Please.
Oh my God.
Please mute yourselves. As Swami Vivekananda tells us, when you can still the vrittis in the chitta, your universe disappears. That is to say, you are in deep meditation. No modifications in the mind stuff. When you are successful in this effort, you have controlled nature, both external and internal. You have achieved the purpose of the first 6 limbs of Patanjali's Raja Yoga. You are capable of deep meditation, samadhi, and kaivalya await you. So did that get it, Nara? Is that clear now?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. And good that you asked. Good to review it. Anyone else? So Uma, you heard the summary. That was the summary for that portion of the talk. Anything else anyone wants to ask or comment?
Brother Shankara, this is Keith.
Yes, Keith.
So I've read a bunch of descriptions of how it feels like when you kind of get to that oneness and how you don't, your universe looks different. Not the outside universe, but your universe looks different. I am very curious as to, you may or may not know this, what that looks like, because we keep talking about like they're different worlds. Like my world would look different from everybody else's. I mean,
Well, your world does look different from everybody
right?
else, every moment.
Right.
I mean, we may think we share this universe, but if we really get down to comparing notes, we find that, oh, I see it very differently than you. And this is why we have all these varied opinions, and those people who insist on their opinions as the truth and so on. And those are the people who are immersed in the deepest ignorance. So what does it look like, feel like? There are those who experience divine forms, various higher levels of subtle forms. There are those who experience a great silence, and there's no content there. So it's very hard to generalize as to what it will be like. If you want to read what it's like for a Raja Yogi, read chapter 4 of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras as translated by Swami Vivekananda in his book Raja Yoga, or Swami Prabhavananda's How to Know God. They do their best, but this is very subtle, because it's not something of our gross reality. Our gross reality is left way behind when we're in this state. The body, I can tell you that when you get to the point of Savikalpa Samadhi, you're just simply not aware of your body at all, or any of the things that we think of as bodily experiences. Everything is that, all of that has been pushed to the periphery. Now that's one way of experience. But because the capital R reality behind our small reality is infinite, as Sri Ramakrishna said, there are innumerable forms of samadhi. And so it's not possible to be specific or categorize. There's another description that you might want to read, and that's the last couple of chapters of Adi Shankaracharya's crest jewel of discrimination, Vivekachudamani. That's the Jnani's understanding or way of being once they attain samadhi or deep meditation, slip into samadhi. Good question, very difficult to answer. Anyone else?
Brother Shankara, this is Haima.
Yes, Haima?
I have a question. Is this the Parabrahma state? Calm and peaceful, subtle?
It's actually beyond that, dear.
Beyond that, but
Because there's no experience.
Okay, no experience, very subtle.
No, it's no longer an experience. All of the what we identify as experience is some sort of vibration in the mind stuff. No matter how subtle, it's still a vibration in the mind stuff.
Thank you so much.
And so this is our reaching beyond duality into non-duality, and we've been describing this morning the Raja Yogi's way of going about it.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
so when we are able to hold a single thought continuously for 12 seconds, that is considered concentration.
That's the definition, yes.
Right. So as we are heading towards there, is that like an all or none thing, or can we build it second by second? Or if we go to 6 seconds, do we experience maybe a fraction of something, or what do we build it?
It's very hard to categorize this for and generalize for everyone, dear. As you progress in your ability to concentrate, one of the things that emerges is bliss. Why? Because you have fewer thoughts. Thoughts are what obstruct, are an impediment to our natural condition of blissfulness. So you'll find bliss. And so a student asked Swamiji, oh, I'm experiencing bliss. Do I stop there? And Swamiji said, no, no, no. That's just the very beginning. So for each person, some people may hear Om, the unstruck sound. Some people may hear music. Some people may experience a great silence. Some people may experience an overwhelming sense of divine presence. And there's no way to describe it, no way to say what that is, because it's infinite. You're just getting a touch of it. It's just touching you. And so but it's as I say, it's beyond description. So just keep on keeping on, and you will come to your own experiences. Now remember, as long as there's an experiencer and an experience, this is duality. But there's nothing wrong with that. That is exactly what we will continue to experience in its higher and higher forms until we slip beyond, as Patanjali says, the first 6 limbs of his yoga are self-effort. The last 2 limbs, meditation and samadhi, are something that happens to you. Once you've achieved the ability to concentrate for a long period of time, you slip into meditation. But it's the joy and the bliss and the sense of greatness increases with every little change in behavior that marks your spiritual progress. The change in behavior means you have left behind some impediments. That's why the Swami Swahananda used to say, the only true measure of spiritual progress is change in behavior. And when we change our behavior, it means we've left something behind. We have successfully discriminated about some aspect of something. And it's usually not an intellectual process. It's something that arises in our intuition. Oh, this is no longer, deserves my attention. And you leave it behind. and all of the behaviors that are associated with that thinking and that speaking. So you leave it behind, and that's another impediment that's left behind. So you're floating higher, you're ascending higher. And what you experience is individual to you because you are unique. You are a unique facet of this illimitably, this infinite gem that is the divine presence.
Brother Shankara,
Okay.
Yes, dear.
as you are talking about which is chapter 4, I'm glancing at it, and it says how to, through the power of concentration, awaken your kundalini. So is this kundalini one of the disciplines or methods to come to that samadhi?
Whose translation are you reading from, dear?
Raj Yoga by Vivekananda,
Okay.
chapter 4.
So yeah.
Psychic
In this context,
yeah.
Kundalini is exactly what Sri Ramakrishna said it is.
Uh-huh.
It is the primordial power
Okay.
of manifestation itself, which is asleep in most of us, not because we're bad or wrong, but because it is covered up by our ignorance.
Mhm.
As we dispel our ignorance through contemplation, concentration, and meditation, we access this primordial power, which rushes up the Sushumna
Mhm.
and overwhelms our ability to hold on to our vrittis. But what happens to each individual as a result of that will be unique.
But here it also says that Kundalini can be awakened through pranayama.
Yes, dear, pranayama is part of Raja Yoga. So let's not go over chapter 4 line by line, dear. We just don't have time for it. What question do you have, or do you have a question?
No, I just was thinking of how to build up that power of deep concentration. And
Through
what are
practice.
methods?
Through practice. That's the only way. It isn't. It isn't something that we build up through access to the Kundalini. No, through building up the power of concentration, we finally access the Kundalini, and it rushes up the spine like blue lightning.
Mhm.
And the experience is indescribable. The results for you will be unique, but there are chapter 4 is about the end game here.
Oh,
You know, there are 6 limbs of yoga
yeah.
to practice and practice faithfully over long periods of time before we achieve. You know, it is the tendency of our left mind to look for a magic bullet. There is no magic bullet. So that's a good comment and question, Uma, but let's not go over it line by line because we just won't have time for the rest of this talk.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything else from anyone?
Hi, this is Tom.
Brother
Can you-
Shankara, I have a little confusion about the gunas. How does it correlate with, how we have to overpower rajas and tamas and sattva and ultimately to transcend even the sattva guna, use the sattva guna.
Near the gunas are the vibration.
Oh,
They
I
are
see.
the vibrations. They're classified into these 3 kinds of vibration, and they are the vibrations. So the practice of the 6 limbs of Raja Yoga enable us to overcome the ability of the gunas to produce the vrittis that we think are reality. So it's not separate from. The gunas are simply Sankhya Yoga's way of explaining the vibration,
I
the
see.
various forms of vibration. So they're not separate issues. Good question, though. I mean, how do the gunas fit in? The gunas are the vibrations. It's just a way of classifying the vibrations. And if you study Sankhya, it's intensely complex. It's just as complex as modern chemistry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Tom.
I'd just like to comment on something you said that I agree with you. I spent a huge amount of time reading spiritual books about meditation and so on, but now I sort of view it. I'm glad I read all these books, and I'm glad that you have this book, but it's like learning to ride a bicycle. You
Yeah.
could read about learning to ride a bicycle forever, and you couldn't ride a bicycle until you actually get on the bicycle and practice.
Amen, Tom. Exactly.
That's the way it is. That's the way it is with meditation.
Yeah.
It's interesting to read about all this stuff, but for a person to describe these experiences, just think about another peak experience, which probably most of us have had, the experience of falling in love. Now,
Mhm.
that's a peak experience. It's really wonderful. I don't know if it's the same for everybody or not, but people would describe it in so many different ways, and they might be talking about the same thing. So that's the way I think about descriptions of meditation.
Mhm.
No telling what somebody actually experienced. They did their best to put it into words. My experience is that whenever I have tried to talk about what happened, I always have this feeling like I didn't really say it right. I couldn't really put into words what I meant to say. Okay, that's enough. I just be repeating myself. Thanks for listening.
Okay, Tom, and you're absolutely right. It is ineffable. It is indescribable. What actually happens cannot be put into words because it goes beyond our thoughts and concepts. So naturally, there's no words that really fit. And for everyone, it is unique. You're absolutely right. So, anything else before we go on? This is good. Okay. So now we've caught a glimpse of why a yogi would want to accomplish the feat of attaining kaivalya, independence, meditation. And that understanding can help us grasp how a dedicated Raja Yogi lives and will respond to transformation in the world around her. A truly committed, ideal Raja Yogi is often an anchorite. Here's a definition from the Cambridge English Dictionary of an anchorite: someone who lives alone and away from other people for religious reasons. Now that's a little narrow as far as Raja Yoga goes. You don't have to be religious to practice Raja Yoga. You just have to want to be free. Now some people say, well, that desire for freedom is a religious impulse. Patanjali says yes and no. Nevertheless, Raja Yogi is an anchorite, someone who lives alone and away from other people for their own reasons. Shubhra, please don't start the machines in the kitchen.
No, I won't.
Okay, just some examples, if you care to read about some people who were anchorites, Julian of Norwich, a remarkable Christian anchorite, Thomas Merton, another remarkable Christian anchorite. He then later changed from that mode of life and became involved again. But we have all of these stories, many, many stories in the Sanatana Dharma in Hinduism of the yogis of the forest and mountain caves. They live apart from other people for their spiritual or religious or attainment reasons. The whole point of a Raja Yogi's pursuit is to be apart from the constant change, transformation of life in the world, and to restrain the compulsion of the mind stuff to make a reality. To restrain the compulsion of the mind stuff to make a reality, vrittis, of her internal world, the innumerable mental impressions retained from the yogi's eons-long evolution that was described earlier. An ideal Raja Yogi might not even be very much aware of the great changes, the virus, and the economic and social effects of it, for example, racking our world today. They may live so apart from the world that they do not participate in the conversations that would lead them to have any grasp of what's going on. Now, some people say, well, that's selfish. No, it's not selfish. It's self-determined. The greatest gift, we are told, the greatest gift you can give to the world is to become illumined. This is from Ramana Maharshi. The greatest gift you can give to the world is to become illumined, because you become a beacon of capital R reality in the world, in which there are so few. So it's not selfish, it's self-determined to decide to set yourself apart, as Raja Yogis do, and do the work necessary to learn to control nature, both external and internal. Now, here's what Swami Vivekananda says at the end of Raja Yoga. This is in chapter 4. Thus, the practice of yoga leads to discriminating power. Thus, the practice of yoga leads to discriminating power, to clearness of vision. The veil drops from the eyes, and we see things as they are. We find that nature is a compound and is showing the panorama for the Purusha, who is the witness, that nature is not the Lord, that all the combinations of nature are simply for the sake of showing these phenomena to the Purusha, the enthroned king within. When discrimination comes by long practice, fear ceases, and the mind attains isolation, independence, kaivalya. When discrimination comes by long practice, fear ceases, and the mind attains that state of independence, isolation from all phenomena. It has become capable of restraining the mind stuff from creating any phenomena out of the natural vibrations of the gunas, or however you care to classify it. And finally, this is his final very poetic statement. Nature's task is done. This unselfish task which our sweet nurse, nature, has imposed upon herself. She gently took the self-forgetting soul by the hand, as it were, and showed him all the experiences in the universe, all manifestations, bringing him higher and higher through various bodies, till his lost glory came back and he remembered his own nature. Then the kind mother went back the same way she came for others who have lost their way in the trackless desert of life. And thus she is working without beginning and without end. And thus through pleasure and pain, through good and evil, the infinite river of souls is flowing into the ocean of perfection. The infinite river of souls is flowing into the ocean of perfection, of self-realization. Glory unto those who have realized their own nature. May their blessings be on us all. So this is Swamiji's poetic way of saying, when manifestation occurred, it caused this self-forgetting. When duality emerged by the desire, our desire as the divine presence, when I said, I am one, I shall become many, this self-forgetting occurred. And so, as the Swami says, Mother Nature gently took the self-forgetting soul by the hand, as it were, and showed him all the experiences in the universe, all manifestations, bringing him higher and higher through various bodies, till his lost glory came back. Now, what does that indicate about each of us who is sitting here this morning? That glory, that sense of that glory has awakened on us. We now see, oh, this is not my nature. I am not by nature a limited being, limited to experiencing manifestations. No, I am that which is manifestation itself. I am Satchidananda. I am the experience. I am the knowledge. I am the bliss or love. That is my nature. And so this is what the Raja Yogi is reaching toward. And this is why the Swami says at the end, glory unto those who have realized their own nature. Glory to those who have learned to control external and inner nature, external and interior nature. May their blessings be on us all. And that's what I meant when I said, as Ramana Maharshi said, the greatest gift you can give to the world is to become illumined, to know who you are. Because you become a radiant beacon that offers blessings to everyone, whether they know it or not. And if you want to know what I mean by that, read Swamiji's talk, The Powers of the Mind. He talks about how unconsciously, completely unconsciously, the great soul is spreading blessings constantly. So that's how a Raja Yogi might deal with transformation. She might not even be aware of the transformation in the wider world. She certainly would remove herself from interaction with it, not in a selfish way, not in an uncompassionate way, but by saying, I know this is the lesser reality, not the highest reality. Let me be that highest reality. So that's the end of the talk, and time again for our conversation, our comments, our questions that are part of our studying the art of spirituality together.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, Uma.
I have a question.
Yes.
After, suppose I'm fortunate enough to reach that highest ultimate state
Yes.
of achieving that beautiful harmony and peace of mind, and suppose I'm able to control all my chitta vritti, all
Mhm.
vibrations.
Yes.
How does that translate into action? How do you, if I'm that, just like Arjuna's Krishna, how does Sthita Prajna behave? I'm asking, how does that realized soul behave in today's world? How does he act?
What did Mahatma Gandhi say, dear? If you want to understand the Vedas, study the life of Sri Ramakrishna. He lived them. This is how we understand. This is how we become a fountain. We become a fountain of truth. We become a fountain of bliss. Study the life of Vivekananda. Study the life of Raja Maharaj, Swami Brahmananda. Each of them entirely unique. They're not the same at all. And yet what comes from them? This is the life of action. This is the life of action.
So does it mean that a person will become more compassionate, more kind?
They become compassion itself, dear. They become kindness itself. It is the question of being compassionate. They are compassion itself. They manifest the divine attributes, not by doing it, but by being it.
And you can do all as well. If you are being that, then you exude that kindness around.
Yes, you radiate. You radiate. Sri Ramakrishna was in great awe of a yogi that he encountered in Benares, a yogi named Trilanga Swami. Trilanga Swami did not speak. He simply sat. And by people coming into his presence, their lives were transformed. Sri Ramakrishna said, "Oh, this is a great one. This is a great one." You can read in the gospel and even more in the Great Master or the Divine Play about his encounter with Trilanga Swami.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
You quickly name those two fellows, those two people again, the anchorites.
Oh, Julian of Norwich, Julian, Julian of Norwich, pronounced Norwich. Julian of Norwich. She was English, and the story of her life will just bowl you over. I mean, she's just an amazing. And then Thomas Merton. Thomas Merton lived as an anchorite until he achieved the results of living that anchorite's life. And then, as Uma said, there's another one that you can study. What did he do after his achievement? He was becoming so powerful that he drew the attention of the authorities.
Right. Thank you. I'll look him up. Thanks.
You bet. Thomas Merton's The Seven Story, Storey, the Seven Story Mountain might be a good place to start with Merton. And then just the biography of Julian of Norwich. Those are two books that you might want to read to understand what it means to be an anchorite.
Right, thank you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Shankara, one small question.
Yes, Haima.
That's okay. He is St. Francis of Assisi. He is the prime example of this, isn't it? Where there is
Well, you know, St. Francis of Assisi was a bhakta. He was an ecstatic bhakta. If you read about his life, it isn't that he didn't achieve this state. Yes, he achieved it but he achieved it through bhakti. You know.
Thank you.
He was. I mean, you read his poems in that book, Love Poems from God.
Okay.
He's just an ecstatic bhakta. You know.
Thank you so much.
So lovable. He talked to squirrels.
Yeah.
He did. And this was not imagination. This was not something he made up to make to be impressive. He talked to squirrels. He talked to worms. He talked to the sun. He talked to the flowers in the field, and they talked to him. This is what happens to a bhakta, because they see everything as the divine glory, as the glory and the manifestation of the divine. And so their relationship with it becomes perfect. As you and I might perfect a relationship by practice and love, his relationship with the entire universe was that way. So it isn't that he didn't achieve this highest state, he did, but he achieved it through bhakti.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Shankara.
Yes, dear.
Talking about squirrels, it made me crack up. I every day enjoy feeding the squirrels my leftover breadcrumbs, and they line up every morning to eat my bread that I put out. So,
good. Now learn to talk with them. Now learn how it is. Now focus on them intently, and see them as the glory of the divine in the form of a squirrel, and learn to talk with them.
They're like my children.
Good.
I must feed them.
Yes, good. Oh, well, I'm glad you have that love and compassion for those squirrels that way. Excellent.
No different
Take
than
it to the next level. Yes, Neera.
Yeah, it's no different than all the pet owners, how we love our pets.
Yeah.
You know, how we feed the birds. We have a bird feeder in our yards.
It's a matter of degree, Neera.
Yeah.
It's a matter of degree. To what, how intense is the relationship? And yes, obviously the love is there for the pets, for the birds, for all of these things. But what is it we're loving? As Yajnavalkya says, it's not for the sake of the pet that we love the pet. It is for the sake of the self. It is not for the sake of the squirrel that we love the squirrels. It is for the sake of the self. It is not for the sake of the birds that we love the birds. It is for the sake of the self. They are just another form, another representation of self. And so that's what's attracting our attention. And so as we cultivate that, as we become that, self, then our correspondence with these others becomes unbroken. Our conversation with them becomes knowable to us. It's going on all the time. We just don't know it. Anything else?
Yes, Brother Shankar, Swami Vivekananda was very fond of animals all around him. He had goats and he had chickens.
Yes.
And same way with Thakur too,
Yes. Well, no, Thakur didn't have animals around him. This was Vivekananda. But this is the thing we if we look at the life of Swamiji and the life of Thakur, as Swamiji remarked, Thakur, Sri Ramakrishna, was all bhakti on the outside and all jnana on the inside. And he said of himself, I am all jnana on the outside and all bhakti on the inside. Bhakta. And so that's what manifested at the end of his life, was this intense relationship with the natural world of a bhakta. So he had these animals and he loved them dearly, and he about drove his fellow disciples crazy because, you know, Swamiji didn't care for them in the way that tidy people think of taking care of animals. Yes, but you're absolutely right.
Holy Mother too.
Well, Holy Mother loved animals, but she didn't even own a cow, and the only animals that really lived with her were a cat, and of course all of the little creatures that live in a house, she wouldn't allow them to be killed.
Brother Shankara.
Yes.
What does that mean when you say he's bhakti on the inside and jnana on the outside?
Swami Vivekananda taught jnana, taught the way of getting a grip on reality through discrimination and renunciation. So that's what he was on the outside. If you look at his works, even those things that are nominally bhakti and karma and raja, they're infused with this discrimination and renunciation. But he was inside; he was all heart, and his relationship with universe. If you want to understand that, read his letter to a friend. It's in his complete works. Letter to a friend, or Let Shama Dance. You read those things, you get this strong sense of Swamiji as a bhakta.
Thank you, Brother Shankar.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
I'd like to say something.
Yes, please.
Tom was talking earlier about our meditation is like riding a bicycle. I agree 100%. But that is not all of it.
Oh, hell no.
There's a part of meditation that is explainable. You can it's like information that you can absorb and think about it later and really come up with a good understanding of it on a level that you can explain it to others.
Yes.
And that's just another part of it. But there are many parts of it. I've over the years I've learned that I would go to meditation with a particular idea that I want to deal with in the meditation. And in the meditation, that never can come up at all. And I find you have to be open enough, or just being able to surrender and take what comes. And what comes is usually what you least expect.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anything that you've thought about, planned on, or anything. A good example of that is this morning in my meditation. What came up, there's no such thing as good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's negative and positive. You can get more benefit sometime from what the things that we call bad than you can from the things that we call good.
That's absolutely true.
And the result of it is not necessarily your results. The results of it can be someone else's result. Most of the time it is. It can be the result of the whole society. It can be the result of the world. But we kind of get things, and if it doesn't benefit us personally, we kind of discount it, and we don't look at it thorough enough to see where it is benefiting others.
Very well said, Robert. That's absolutely true. As long as we remain self-centered, as long as we think of everything in terms of ourselves, we are blind. We are blind to the rest of the world.
You know, like when I first got this
Conversation.
this idea came to me about there being no difference in good or bad. My question was, in certain areas, how could it be? And it's explained that something that that we call bad, because it all goes back to karma.
Well, I was going to say, Robert, if you want to understand this in more depth, or anyone wants to understand this in more depth, they should read Swamiji's talks that are gathered together under the heading Karma Yoga. He really goes into what you're talking about in great detail.
There is some disturbance, some distraction. No, it's coming in the background.
Somebody has their microphone open with some noise going on in the background.
It's actually Robert's, but I think his setting, he has to have his setting the way he does so he can hear it. But Robert, maybe when you're talking, have it on, but when Brother Shankar's answering, turn it off. So I know that's a lot of trouble turning it on and off, but for some reason.
Otherwise, you get a feedback loop.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
I wasn't finished. That's why I didn't turn it off. I just got cut off, but that's all right.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Well, that's then enough for today. So good of you all to come. We'll close it with this. Without question, thou shelterest us, and the world's great sea in its wrath seems shrunk to the puddle that fills a hoofprint in the clay. Speech cannot hold thee, nor mind, yet without thee we think not nor speak. Love, who art partial to none, we are equal before thy sight. Taker away of our pain, we salute thee, though we are blind. Come to the heart's dark cave and illumine, thou light of the light. Come to the heart's dark cave. Come to the heart's dark cave and illumine, thou light of the light. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beings everywhere. So once again, thanks for being part of this. It's so joyous to have us all together this way. And as you go, Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. Go in Mother's loving and protective embrace. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.